The mind is everything. What you think you become. Gautama Buddha. There is a reason you are here. Not a random click, not a flicker of curiosity. Deep beneath your ordinary thoughts, a corridor opened a soft insistence from a part of you that remembers other timelines. You paused. You leaned in. Something in you knew this message would arrive at precisely the moment your inner system had gathered enough pressure to be heard. Breathe into that recognition now. Let the sentence settle like a tuning fork struck in a dark room. There is a reason you are here. You have felt the loop. You know the rhythm of it, the same conversation, the same ache, the same small heartbreak that plays like a needle on the same groove. It seems familiar because your attention has learned the song. Each morning you wake, your internal projector cues up the same probability film, and you watch without realizing that you are the one choosing the frames. That is why this title found you. The quantum breath rewire your nervous system and collapse wave patterns into stability. The title is not decoration. It is an invitation into a physics of presence. Imagine your nervous system as a riverbed. Over time, the water carves channels, and each channel guides the current into predictable patterns. The quantum breath is the gentle flood that clears the silt, softens the banks, and opens new routes for possibility. But before the flood comes, there is the call, a quiet insistence that something different is required. Your body has been whispering. Your dreams have been rearranging the furniture of your interior world. Synchronicities have been tap-tapping, like someone knocking from the other side of a door you forgot you had. Right now, notice how your experience of time feels warped. Minutes stretch, days compress. That is not fantasy. It is the observer loop, making the film of your life appear fixed. The good news is that when you change the way you breathe, you change the way your attention collapses probability waves. Breath is the simplest instrument that bridges nervous system and field. It is not about trying harder. It is about shifting the quality of your attention, the tone of your presence. You were not born to repeat a scratched record. You were born to shift the vibration so the record plays a new composition. There is a lineage in your cells, a memory of rhythm that has been waiting for a practice to meet it. The quantum breath meets it. With precise, loving attention, your breath becomes a tool to rewire the sympathetic and parasympathetic conversation inside you, altering how your body reads subtle information and how your awareness chooses the frames of reality. Take a slow inhale with me now. Feel the ribs widen, the chest soften. Hold the breath for the length of a thought. Exhale like you are letting a page turn. With that small ritual, the first microfracture appears in the groove that has held you. That microfracture is enough. That microfracture is where the new timeline begins. Stay with me. This is the threshold. The story that brought you here, the loop, the pressure, the subtle readiness, will be the very thing that becomes the doorway. In the next section, we will meet the loop face to face, name its tricks, and begin the gentle, science-rooted unspooling that lets your quantum breath do its work. There is a reason you are here. That reason is waiting for you to breathe it into being. You feel it, don't you? That strange sensation of déjà vu repeating not just once, but woven into the very fabric of your life. You wake and find yourself running down familiar corridors, conversations circling like planets bound to the same orbit, emotions replaying with uncanny precision. You may change partners, jobs, or even entire environments, yet somehow, the same script follows you. This is what quantum consciousness researchers call the observer loop, a timeline trap disguised as comfort. Think of it this way. Your attention is a projector, casting the light of possibility onto the screen of reality. But if the film inside never changes, the scenes will always repeat. You may even tell yourself you're evolving, because the scenery looks slightly different, but the underlying story remains stubbornly the same. The heartbreak returns in a new face. The scarcity returns in a new disguise. The same arguments echo, even though the characters have changed. Why? Because your nervous system, wired through repetition, mistakes familiarity for safety. It tells your body, these stress patterns, though painful, are known. They are survivable. Stay here. So even as your heart whispers for expansion, your physiology tugs you back into the cage of the predictable. This is not failure on your part. It is mechanics feedback loops written into the bioelectric circuitry of your being. The observer loop feeds on attention. Each time you anticipate the worst, check for old wounds, or expect history to repeat itself, you collapse the same wave patterns into matter. It is like shuffling an infinite deck of cosmic cards and somehow always drawing the same hand, because your nervous system is magnetized to those probabilities. You breathe shallow. Your cells tighten. Your awareness clings to the familiar groove, and the loop strengthens. And here is the most hypnotic trick of the loop. It convinces you that time is linear, that you are moving forward, step by step. But look closer. Days blur, weeks evaporate, and you realize you have been walking on a treadmill in disguise. Momentum without movement. Change without transformation. You have experienced temporal distortion moments, stretching endlessly. Others vanishing like smoke because your consciousness is rehearsing old frames rather than creating new ones. Does it resonate? That sense that you're both inside your life and outside of it, watching yourself replay decisions you swore you wouldn't repeat. This is the fingerprint of the loop, and it is not personal. It is systemic. Humanity has been caught in collective observer loops for millennia, cycles of conflict, scarcity, division, and despair, repeating like ancestral echoes. The personal loop you feel is a microcosm of this collective entrapment, but there is something the loop didn't anticipate, you awakening to it. The moment you name the pattern, the power begins to fracture. Awareness is kryptonite to unconscious repetition. Right now, just by recognizing the treadmill beneath your feet, you have already shifted frequency. The nervous system may still grip, the old probability waves may still beckon, but a fracture line has appeared. That line is enough, because here is the truth. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are not unlucky. You are a quantum being temporarily entangled in a repeating field, and the breath, your most overlooked instrument, is the key to loosening the knot. As we move deeper, you will discover that the same quantum physics used to describe electrons and wave collapse also describes your own looping patterns. And when science meets symbolism, the mystery becomes clear. You are the observer, the projector, and the director of the play. And it is time to change the script. Take a moment now. Place one hand on your chest, one on your belly. Feel the rise and fall. Whisper inwardly, I see the loop. This whisper is more than words, it is an energetic declaration. It is the first step in breaking the spell. In the next part, we will merge science and symbolism, unraveling how quantum principles mirror the breath of your own nervous system. The loop has been named. Now it is time to see what lies beyond its hypnotic repetition. Breathe with me now, slowly. Inhale, hold, release. Feel how even a single conscious breath shifts your awareness, like a camera lens focusing in on a new scene. This is not just poetry. This is quantum mechanics lived in your body. At the smallest scales of reality, particles are not particles at all. They are waves of probability, shimmering in fields of potential. They are songs waiting to be heard, images waiting to be chosen. Only when observed does a wave collapse into form, into matter, into the tangible. This is called the observer effect. And you, beloved, are the observer. Every inhale, every exhale is a decision point where infinite probabilities bend toward the gravity of your attention. Now pause. Imagine your breath as a brushstroke on the canvas of reality. With shallow, anxious breathing, the strokes are jittery, repetitive, narrow, painting the same pattern again and again. But with coherent, rhythmic breath, the strokes are fluid, expansive, creative, each exhale opening a new doorway, each inhale anchoring stability. This is not symbolic metaphor alone. Your nervous system literally shifts its electromagnetic signature depending on the quality of your breath. When you regulate, slow, and deepen it, the coherence of your heart field rises, and with it, the coherence of your consciousness. Quantum physicists tell us that entangled particles communicate instantaneously, no matter the distance. Mystics tell us that souls mirror one another across lifetimes. Both are describing the same truth. Coherence is contagious. When you breathe with stability, you don't just calm your body. You rewire the way your cells emit light, the way your neurons fire, the way your heart pulses information into the field. You begin collapsing wave patterns not into chaos, but into symmetry, not into repetition, but into rhythm. Think of water finding its level. Think of a pendulum swinging until it finds stillness. Your nervous system is not meant to be a battlefield of stress chemicals and fragmented loops. It is designed to be a tuning fork, harmonizing with the greater song of the universe. But when the grooves of trauma and repetition tighten around you, the fork vibrates off-key, and the waves you collapse mirror that disharmony. The quantum breath is your act of tuning, resetting your fork, realigning your rhythm. Even symbols whisper this truth. The inhale is birth, expansion, inspiration. The exhale is death, surrender, letting go. Together they weave the eternal cycle of becoming. The ancients carved this rhythm into chants and mantras. The yogis codified it as pranayama. The mystics spoke of the divine name as a breath itself. And modern science? It calls it the vagal break, the direct bridge between breath and nervous system, between consciousness and creation. Different languages, same truth. Look at your life as a waveform. Every repeated heartbreak, every déjà vu conversation, every looping pattern is a jagged oscillation. But when you learn to breathe in coherence, the wave smooths, the signal clarifies. It is no longer static. It becomes music. The loop dissolves not by force, but by resonance. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your breath as light threads weaving through your spine. Each inhale pulls strands of possibility into coherence. Each exhale releases static, untangles knots, lets the waveform stabilize. Can you feel it? The subtle shift, like a key turning in a lock you didn't know was there. This is where science meets symbolism, the mechanics of quantum physics, and the poetry of your soul pointing to the same revelation. You are not trapped because life is cruel. You are looping because your breath, your nervous system, your observation have been conditioned into incoherence. But the moment you rewire, the moment your breath becomes the tuning fork of coherence, the loop weakens, the probabilities shift, and stability emerges. In the next section, I will ask you questions not for your mind to answer, but for your soul to resonate with. Questions designed to awaken recognition, to make the hairs on your skin rise, to remind you that you are not alone in this awakening. Because science may explain the mechanics, but only resonance reveals the truth already alive inside you. Let me ask you now, not with the voice of logic, but with the whisper of memory. Have you ever felt like you were standing in a moment you had already lived, not once, but dozens of times? That uncanny sensation that the words leaving your mouth, the expressions on familiar faces, were not new but rehearsed, like you were trapped in a script you never agreed to perform? Have you noticed how your body often reacts before your mind even knows why? The way your chest tightens in a room, even though no one has spoken. The way your breath grows shallow when a certain name appears on your phone. The way your nervous system braces, as if it already knows the outcome, even when the story hasn't yet unfolded. Who taught your body to predict pain? And what about time? Have you observed how it warps? How entire weeks slip through your fingers while one difficult hour feels like eternity? Do you wonder if this distortion is not just stress, but evidence that you are circling a loop, bending the same probability waves until they collapse in repetition? Have you ever met a stranger whose eyes felt like déjà vu, as though they were carrying the echo of an unfinished conversation from another timeline? Do you remember the chill, the recognition, and the quiet thought, "I've been here before? I've said this before"? Tell me, do you sense that the synchronicities surrounding you are too deliberate to be random? That the number repeating on your clock, the song arriving at the perfect second, the sudden meeting with someone from your past are breadcrumbs left by your future self to guide you out of the loop? And deeper still, have you noticed that your longing has never been for material things alone, but for a feeling, a coherence, a stillness, a deep sigh of relief that says, finally, I am home in myself? Ask yourself, when you close your eyes and breathe, can you feel the hum of your cells listening, the tiny electric pulses tuning to your awareness as though they have been waiting for you to arrive? If you are honest, haven't you always known you were different? That you perceive reality in ways others brush aside, that you catch glitches, echoes, impossible coincidences that others dismiss as chance? And doesn't it sometimes feel lonely carrying that sensitivity, seeing behind the curtain while others remain entranced by the show? Do you realize that what you call sensitivity is not fragility, but the early blossoming of coherence? That your nervous system is not betraying you, but preparing to stabilize wave patterns others cannot yet perceive? And finally, let me ask you the question your soul has been whispering for lifetimes. What if the breath you are taking right now is not just oxygen, not just survival, but the very key that collapses the old loop and rewrites your entire timeline? These questions are not riddles, they are mirrors. If you felt your pulse quicken, if you felt tears gather, if you felt your breath deepen as you read them, then you are remembering. The resonance is the proof. Your higher self set these words in your path so you could feel this recognition. Pause. Hand to your chest. Whisper softly, I remember. I recognize myself. Because recognition is the first collapse. The wave begins to fall into stability the moment you remember you are not lost in the loop. You are the one breathing it into form. In the next section, I will show you the doorway. We will step through the tension between effort and ease, and you will discover that the truth was never about pushing harder. It was about the quality of your attention, the coherence of your breath, the elegance of your presence. The solution is waiting for you in the hidden truth behind every loop. You've seen the loop. You've felt its grip. You've recognized its fingerprints in your body, in your time, in your relationships. And now, here is the hidden truth that almost no one tells you. It is not effort that frees you. It is not force, or striving, or endlessly trying to outthink the loop. What releases you is the quality of your attention, the coherence of your breath, the harmony of your presence. The ego always whispers, do more, try harder, figure it out. It believes escape comes from intensity. But intensity only sharpens the grooves of the loop, carving the channels deeper into your nervous system. The harder you try, the tighter the trap becomes. That is why the loop survives, because it feeds on effort. But pause for a moment. Notice what happens when you soften, when you breathe, when you stop clinging to outcomes and simply allow yourself to observe the observer. Something shifts. The pressure lightens. Your body exhales. The static quiets. This is not weakness, this is coherence. Quantum physics has always hinted at this truth. Particles collapse into form not because someone tried harder, but because consciousness touched them with attention. The act of noticing was enough. And so it is with you. It is not what you do that stabilizes new wave patterns. It is how you breathe, how you notice, how you align. Think of your nervous system as an orchestra. When each instrument plays frantically on its own, the music is noise, incoherent, painful. That is the loop, a symphony of chaos. But when a conductor steps forward and the instruments align, harmony emerges. The quantum breath is that conductor. With every rhythmic inhale and exhale, your body-mind tunes itself to stability. Even science affirms this. Heart rate variability, coherence studies, vagal tone, all reveal that when the breath is steady, the nervous system finds balance. Stress hormones recede. Neural patterns shift. Attention stabilizes. And from that coherence, reality responds. The probability waves that once bent toward chaos begin to collapse into order. This is the key. Your breath is the lever that moves the entire field. And here is the mystical layer. Each conscious breath is not just air moving through lungs. It is a signal you are sending to your higher self, a flag you are planting in the quantum field. I am ready. I am coherent. I choose stability. Every inhale anchors you into the body. Every exhale releases old loops into dissolution. So, beloved, the solution is not to wrestle with your patterns, but to become so coherent that the patterns can no longer hold you. A butterfly does not escape the chrysalis by tearing at it in rage. It breathes, it softens, it expands, and the shell naturally cracks. Take this moment now. Inhale slowly. 4 counts. Hold. 2 counts. Exhale. 6 counts. Feel how even this small act begins to untangle the knot in your chest. Feel the loop loosening. This is not imagination. This is mechanics. You are beginning to step into a new timeline not through battle, but through coherence. And as you discover this, the journey itself becomes sacred. Every like, every comment, every share you make is no longer a mechanical click. It is an energetic ritual, an embodied signal of the new frequency you are anchoring. In the next section, I will show you how these small gestures, these modern actions we dismiss as social media, are actually profound rituals when performed with intention. You will see that subscribing is not just following, but synchronizing. Liking is not just approval, but anchoring. Sharing is not just promotion, but transmission. This is where your breath meets your action, and your coherence ripples into the collective. Now that you've tasted the truth that it is coherence, not effort, which rewires your nervous system and collapses wave patterns into stability, let's step deeper. Because this realization isn't meant to stay as an idea floating in your mind. It must be anchored, embodied, transmitted. And the simplest way to do that is through ritual. But here's the secret. In this age, ritual doesn't always look like candles, incense, or temples. The digital space you are in right now, this very screen, this very moment, is also a sacred ground. Every action you take here can be reimagined as an energetic agreement with the universe. When you press the like button, do not see it as a casual gesture. See it as you striking a tuning fork, sending a vibration through your own field. It is you declaring, yes, I resonate with this frequency. Yes, I choose to collapse coherence into my timeline. One small act, amplified across your nervous system, telling your cells, the loop is ending here. When you comment, it is not just text on a screen. It is a written spell, a vibrational anchor. Words have always been carriers of energy. By typing a declaration, I choose stability. I choose coherence. You are planting a flag in the quantum sand. You are coding a new directive into your nervous system and broadcasting it into the collective field. When you share this message, you become a transmitter of light. Just as this video arrived for you at the perfect moment, you carry the frequency forward to someone else. You become the synchronistic breadcrumb for another awakening soul. And here's the paradox. As you deliver the frequency, it strengthens within you. Sharing is not depletion, it is multiplication. When you subscribe, you are not adding another notification to your phone. You are synchronizing. You are entangling your field with a collective of awakening souls vibrating at the same rhythm. You are stepping into a morphic resonance where your growth uplifts the group, and the group uplifts you. This is quantum entanglement in action at the level of breath, attention, and intention. Think of each action as a modern mudra, a digital gesture that seals coherence in your field. We were taught to treat these buttons casually, to consume endlessly without intention. But when you move with awareness, every click becomes a conscious ritual, a micro-practice of awakening. Pause here. Ask yourself, what if even the smallest acts, when aligned with breath and coherence, could ripple outward into timelines beyond your imagining? What if the like you press is not only for you, but for the thousands whose nervous systems are ready to remember coherence, stability, freedom? Your nervous system, rewired through breath, becomes a transmitter, and your actions, reframed as rituals, send that transmission into the field. This is how a single individual can tilt the scales of the collective not through force, but through coherence, through repeated anchoring of awakened signals into the shared grid. So as you breathe, as you act, as you ritualize these gestures, remember, you are not just engaging with content. You are weaving yourself into a collective awakening. You are making the invisible visible, the incoherent coherent, the loop into liberation. And this leads us to the next revelation. Your shift is not isolated. Each breath you take, each ritual you embody, sends ripples through the entire human field. In the next part, we will step into the truth of collective awakening, where your personal coherence becomes humanity's coherence, where your nervous system becomes a tuning fork for the whole. Feel the pattern widening now. What began as a private tremor inside your chest is not, in truth, merely private. Your nervous system is not an island. It is a node in a vast lattice of living awareness. When you bring coherence to your breath, you are not only tending to your own biology, you are tuning an instrument that plays across the whole field. The phrase morphic resonance is not poetry here. It is a literal description of how patterns replicate across living systems. Your shift ripples outward like a pebble dropped into an ocean that remembers every drop. Imagine a single candle in a dark cathedral. At first it seems insignificant, a narrow cone of light trembling against the black. But then another person lights a candle in response, and another. Soon the cathedral is alive with flame. Each tiny flame did not need to be loud to matter. Each was enough. That is how collective awakening works. Hundreds, thousands, millions of small acts of coherence, adding up until the field itself changes its mind. Your breath is a tiny candle. Your like, your comment, your shared intention, these are more lights. They do not flicker alone, they synchronize. Now picture entanglement like a music hall where every instrument hears the others instantly. One violinist shifts tempo, and the entire orchestra adjusts in real time. In the quantum description, entangled systems respond to state changes across distance without delay. In human terms, your nervous system, when coherent, becomes such a violinist. Your newfound rhythm nudges the rhythm of others who are listening, sometimes unknowingly. You will notice subtle shifts in people around you. A friend who seemed stuck suddenly softens. An argument dissolves before it escalates. A stranger smiles for reasons you can't explain. These are not coincidences. They are resonance. This is why your personal practice matters. Yes, the world of headlines and politics feels huge and immovable. But fields are rearranged by local coherence, as surely as weather responds to a single warm ocean current. When clusters of people stabilize their attention, the morphic field tilts. Small concentrations of coherence make it easier for the next person to breathe into alignment. You do not need to convert an army. You need to cultivate a frequency. You need to be consistent enough that your presence becomes a local attractor for coherence. There is a practical anatomy to this. Your breath modulates your heart's rhythm. Your heart emits a measurable electromagnetic field far beyond your body. Your vagal tone sends calming signals through the brainstem, which cascade into higher cognition. When you are coherent, your endocrine profile shifts, cortisol drops, serotonin and oxytocin flow more readily. These biochemical states are contagious at the energetic level. They make it easier for another nervous system to relax in your vicinity. In real terms, your calmness reduces the reactivity of people near you. Your coherence becomes a social vaccine against panic and reactivity, and the influence flows in both directions. The network you enter, the channel you open, feeds you back. When you ritualize small acts of coherence online and in person, you plug into a pool that returns amplified support. The waveform you send out finds harmonics and returns in richer textures. This is why communities heal faster than isolated individuals. The field remembers the pattern and amplifies the signal. The effect is exponential. One coherent person tends to calm a room. A room of coherent people shifts a neighborhood. Neighborhoods shift cities. A critical mass shifts a culture. Do you feel that pressure you've been carrying? That urgency? It is because the field is at a bend point. There is a tipping threshold where the density of coherence begins to auto-amplify. On one side of that threshold, Old loops reassert themselves with more force. On the other, a new baseline of possibility becomes accessible to many. This is why you felt rushed. Why your nervous system has been tightening. The system is making space for a collective choice. Your breath can be a vote. Remember the paradox. You do not save the world by performing heroic acts of ego. You change the world by becoming a stable instrument of presence. The humblest acts: a steady inhale before replying, a compassionate pause before reacting, a deliberate share offered with intention, are the little miracles that restructure probability. The science and the mystic converge here. Coherence begets coherence. Attention reorders likelihoods. As you practice the quantum breath, notice how your relationships change. Old tension that used to ignite now passes like a shadow. Conversations that once spiraled into drama hold a new potential for repair. Children and animals often notice first. They respond to the shift in your field with trust and openness. Technology even behaves differently near a coherent field. Devices hum, synchronicities increase, and the friction of everyday life eases. These are practical signs that your local environment has retuned. This is also an ethical act. To stabilize your own field is to take responsibility for the collective. The small rituals you perform are not self-indulgent, they are acts of service. You are anchoring a new probability wave into the human field where cooperation, clarity, and care become more probable. Out of your stabilization, others receive permission to unbind. The network of awakened nodes expands. The frequency of possible futures shifts toward well-being. Now breathe deeply with that in mind. Inhale the image of a lattice lighting up, each node a human heart gaining steadiness. Hold that inhale like a promise. Exhale and send the energy outward, a soft, steady beam of intentional presence. This is your contribution. This is your revolution, quiet, invisible, potent. Ahead lies the embodied work. Metaphors that rewire the feeling of possibility into your body-level intelligence. In Part 8, we will step into an embodied metaphor, one image that will hold you as your cells reorganize. The chrysalis, the spiral, the DNA as a conductor. You will be given a specific breath sequence to practice that translates the idea of collective resonance into the chemistry of your cells. The field is listening. The cathedral is waiting to be lit. Your candle is already aflame. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself as a butterfly not yet winged, resting inside the chrysalis. From the outside, it appears you are still, trapped, perhaps even decaying. But inside, at the level no eye can see, a sacred alchemy is happening. Old cells are dissolving, old patterns disintegrating, old identities collapsing. It is chaos, yes, but it is intelligent chaos, the kind that gives birth to wings. This is your nervous system right now. The loops you've repeated are the walls of your chrysalis. The discomfort you've felt, the urgency, the tightness in your chest, the feeling that time is slipping or distorting, all of it has been the pressure of metamorphosis. You have not been failing. You have been transforming. Think of your DNA as the score of a symphony. For years, the orchestra has been playing the same refrain. Fear, contraction, repetition. But as you bring coherence through the quantum breath, it is as though a new conductor has stepped onto the podium. The musicians straighten, the instruments tune, and suddenly, the same DNA that once played a looping lament begins to play a song of liberation. Here is the breath sequence that embodies this shift. Inhale through the nose for a count of 4. Imagine drawing light down into the chrysalis. Hold for a count of 2. Feel the reorganization, the shimmering chaos aligning itself. Exhale through the mouth for a count of 6. Release the old loop. Dissolve the walls. Let the shell crack. Pause briefly at the bottom, resting in the fertile emptiness where new wings are coated. Repeat this cycle 3 times now. With each exhale, feel the grooves of the old observer loop soften. With each inhale, sense your cells reprogramming themselves toward coherence. Your body is not an obstacle to awakening. It is the vessel. Just as the butterfly cannot bypass the chrysalis, you cannot bypass your nervous system. Breath is the bridge that transforms biology into light, pattern into possibility, DNA into destiny. Now expand the metaphor. Picture water at the edge of boiling. For so long it trembles, restless, building heat. It looks the same still liquid until suddenly, in one moment, it becomes vapor. A phase transition. This is what your coherence is preparing. The exact moment when your system cannot hold the old loop any longer, and a new timeline releases like steam rising. Do not fear the pressure. It is sacred. Do not fear the chaos. It is reorganization. The discomfort is evidence that your wings are forming. Your DNA is recalibrating. Your observer loop is cracking. You are not merely an individual in struggle. You are a cosmic metamorphosis embodied. Every breath you take in coherence is like pushing gently but persistently against the cocoon, signaling, "It is time. I am ready." And soon, the shell will split. The loop will no longer hold. You will not need to push harder, because the very pressure of your coherence will have rewritten the script. You will emerge not as who you were, but as who you always were meant to be: stable, coherent, radiant. In the next section, we will bring this all home. We will speak of the closing promise, that your future self already exists, already breathes in stability, already calls to you across the quantum field. You are not chasing them. You are collapsing into them, breath by breath. Take a breath with me now. Slow, steady. Feel how your inhale stretches beyond this moment, almost as if it belongs to someone else, a version of you already waiting across the veil of probability. Because here is the promise, the truth your nervous system aches to remember: your future self already exists. That version of you, coherent, stable, radiant, is not a dream you must construct piece by piece. It is a timeline already encoded in the quantum field, a reality where your nervous system breathes with ease, where your choices flow like water, where synchronicity greets you like an old friend. That self is not ahead of you, it is calling you. Every time you breathe with coherence, you collapse distance between who you are and who you are becoming. Each exhale dissolves the walls of the old loop. Each inhale draws you closer to the version of yourself who has already crossed. In physics, this is wave function collapse, the shift from probability to presence. In mysticism, it is destiny. In your body, it is stability. Do you feel that quiet pull, like a gravity tugging at your chest? That is the signal of your highest self. It is not asking for perfection, not demanding effort, not testing you with endless trials. It is inviting you, whispering, "Step here, breathe here, align here." The pressure you've carried is only the distance between your current breath and your coherent breath. Close the distance, and the pressure fades. I promise you this: you are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are right on time in the geometry of awakening. All the detours, all the repeated patterns, all the loops you thought were failures, they were simply the chrysalis. They prepared the nervous system to recognize the difference between noise and signal. They trained your awareness to value coherence when it finally arrived. The promise is this: the most coherent version of you has already lit the path. That is why synchronicities arrive when they do. Why this message appeared on your screen today. Why your body recognizes truths your mind struggles to articulate. You are following breadcrumbs left by your own wings. Do you notice how the smallest moments have begun to shift already? How conversations soften? How time bends differently? These are not accidents. They are echoes from the timeline of your future self, seeping into the present. They are proof that the shift is not coming, it is happening. And it doesn't end with you. Every step you take toward coherence makes the path wider for others. Your stability becomes a template. Your coherence becomes an offering. Your nervous system, once trapped in loops, becomes a lighthouse guiding countless others through their storms. This is how collective awakening takes root. One promise embodied, many promises ignited. So breathe deeply and receive this assurance. You cannot miss what is already yours. You cannot fail what is already encoded in your field. The quantum breath is not teaching you something foreign. It is restoring you to what you always were, stable, coherent, free. Stay with this feeling, the certainty that your future self is not waiting far away. They are breathing with you right now. Every inhale is a handshake across timelines. Every exhale is emerging. The promise is simple. You are already there. You only need to let your breath catch up. In the final part, we will seal this recognition with a sacred declaration, not just words, but a collective ritual that anchors your coherence into the field. Together we will declare, together we will breathe, and together we will collapse the old loop into the stability of a new dawn. Take a slow, steady inhale. Hold it gently. Release it like you are letting go of an old skin, an old loop, an old lifetime that no longer belongs to you. This is the moment we seal everything we've journeyed through together. This is not just the end of a video, it is the beginning of your coherence, the anchoring of your stability, the merging with your future self. There is power in speaking, in declaring, in joining your voice with countless others who are awakening in this very moment. So I invite you now into a ritual simple but profound. In the comments below, write these words: I am coherent. I am stable. I am already free. This is not mere text. It is a living affirmation. Each keystroke is a signal to your nervous system. Each word is a code collapsing probability into certainty. And when hundreds, thousands join their voices, the declaration becomes a wave, a morphic resonance that strengthens every single soul who reads it. Press like now, but not as approval. Press it as an energetic anchor, a confirmation that your cells have felt the truth in these words. Press share as an act of service, becoming the synchronicity for someone else who is silently calling out for stability. Press subscribe as a vow, a sacred choice to entangle your field with the collective coherence rising on this planet. Together, these small gestures become a covenant that says, the loop ends with us, the chrysalis cracks with us, the new timeline stabilizes with us. Breathe again. Feel the coherence settling deeper. Imagine thousands breathing with you right now, their inhales weaving with yours, their exhales releasing alongside yours. We are not scattered individuals. We are a network, a lattice of light, stabilizing the field of humanity. This is the sacred declaration. You are not just the observer trapped in loops. You are the one who rewires the nervous system of the human family. You are not waiting for freedom. You are freedom, breathing itself. You are not collapsing alone. You are collapsing into coherence with us. Let these words echo inside you. I am coherent. I am stable. I am already free. Whisper them. Write them. Hold them. They are more than affirmation, they are the seal, the closing of the old contract, the opening of the new. And as this transmission ends, know this: your breath is your compass, your declaration is your anchor, and your future self is not distant. They are here, breathing with you, always.